Gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to the Crypto Night Show. It is a lazy Sunday here in New Zealand. The weather outside is, a bit mixed, but it is midday, so it's lunchtime almost. But we're going to stream and, of course, have a big fun time here. Now, today we're actually going to be covering some very good trading indicators that people can use to trade much better, and they're not complicated. Really are for beginners and a great way to start. So we're going to be covering that later on in the show. So hold on to your hats for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, we're also going to get into some of the cool things happening on PulseChain and crypto generally. And we're going to be looking at Trump's big tax bill having a few challenges, and not surprising because this is politics for you, right? It's politics. So we're going to talk about that too. Now, what you do, of course, is repost the show on X. That really helps a lot. So if you want to repost that now, that'd be great. Repost show on X, and I'll just post the link to that as well. Get into the chat as always, like Valiant has. Greetings, Superman. Big shout out there, Valiant. Hope you're doing well out there. And repost the show on X. That really does help a lot. If you're on YouTube, share the channel around as well. We're streaming, obviously, the 3 YouTube channels. Superman Crypto, big shout out to the community there. PulseChain X as well, and of course the Crypto Night Show official. We're on this channel as well, streaming as well as X. So pretty exciting. Get out there and share the word, folks. It is a lazy Sunday here. I know it's still Saturday in North America and up in the Northern Hemisphere, but in the Southern Hemisphere, it is a Sunday. So just the way it goes. Now I'm just setting up some stuff over here. So let me get into that, and let me just pull up the screen over here. All right, let's go for gold. And there we go. All right. So let's get into it. Share. Beautiful day here in North Carolina, says Valiant. Oh, that's very beautiful. I have been to North Carolina. It's one of the few states in the United States I've actually been to. Where have I been? I've been to New York City. I guess so that's New York State, I guess. I've been to Florida, to Tampa, and traveled around there a little bit when I was a teenager, living the dream. And, of course, North Carolina, went there for a wedding. Can you believe it? A wedding all the way in North Carolina. Crazy, right? And what else? LA. So I guess California. Just to LA, though. Just a little itty-bitty part of it. Not even over LA. Just like at a hotel, which was pretty crummy, actually, to be honest. And also, we did a tour of Hollywood and the celebrities. And that was kind of fun. We got in a car and drove around. Now, they could have told us anything. They could have told us any house was a celebrity, right? They could have done, and so presumably it was all up and up. But that was a long time ago. Now that was back in the 80s. Can you believe it? In the late 80s, back when when the best movies were out. That's pretty much it, the era. And of course, the celebrities were huge, right? The celebrities were massive. We got Crypto Jacks. They're still the big celebrities today, which is just funny, isn't it? Sylvester Stallone, Tom Cruise, Arnold Schwarzenegger. You guys know all those guys. Crypto Jackson House with the Superman, looking good. Let me know in the chat there what your favorite movie is. This would be a bit of a fun thing for a Saturday to talk about. Let me know what your favorite movie of all time. Really think about it. Don't rush to it. You might regret your decision later. Let me know in the chat there what your best movie is, and we'll talk a little bit about that. But we're going to be talking about a big tax bill. As you guys know, Trump has 3 main strategies that he's going to be ushering in the golden age of America. The first one, of course, is around the big tax bill, which is why it's a big deal, as well as Doge, right? And that's to deal with the federal budget deficit and, of course, economic growth in the United States. And then, of course, the second one is, deregulation and leverage, particularly of small to medium banks to flourish mid-America and manufacturing. And, of course, the third is to reorganize the world trade and, of course, boost investment. And, of course, he's crushing that well over 12 trillion. That's mind-boggling numbers. So it is. Those are the 3 things. So we're going to be looking at the first thing today. We looked at the third thing the other day, the World Trade Order with the Middle East deal, which was absolutely spectacular. And now we're going to be looking at the Trump's strategy around the big tax bill, which is going to boost economic growth ultimately and tax revenue. It's going to be pretty cool. Favorite movie is Back to the Future. Hey, look, it's got to be definitely one of my top ones. Back to the Future. That is definitely right up there. That's a good choice. A very good choice. Valiant says The Abyss 999. Yeah, that is pretty chilling. That is a pretty chilling movie for sure. I'd like to see a few more of those movies too, like Abyss. They could do a lot of variations on that. That'd be pretty cool to see. I'd like to see some real alien type of things living under the sea there. Maybe trying to plot to undermine us or something like that. That'd be pretty cool. There's some good movies there. All right, so let's get into it. Let's get in the chat there. If you're not following on YouTube, smash the follow button. Follow on X. Definitely like and share. Sharing is really important. So get out there and do that. That'd be very, very cool. Now I'm just quickly seeing whether I've got anything particular that I was going to talk about with the poll. Have I got my poll still going? I think final results. So we'll get into that actually. Let's start off with the poll that I did. And without further ado, so I did a poll last night. And we said, what PulseChain token are you buying the most at the moment? And we had PulseX incentive token and Hex, and PulseX won the day. We only had 13 votes. I don't know why. Normally this gets a lot of votes, but it was pretty low this time. But PulseX was the winner, 46.2%. Incentive token second, Hex third there. So interesting layout there. I don't know if you guys agree. Let me guys know in the chat there which one you would have voted for if you didn't vote. PulseX, incentive, and Hex. Now the thing about PulseX, of course, we have seen with the uptrend versus Pulse, and we also see incentive token moves pretty fast. And of course, who knows? Maybe the Master Chef contract for PulseX and the DAO, incentive token be used for that, right? So that's another utility for it. It's going to be pretty crazy. Obviously, people talking about Richard Hart. We had an old roadmap of Richard Hart. If you guys remember, let me know if you guys remember that. The old roadmap, because that had Richard forking a wallet, doing a wallet, and of course he's talked about that recently. It also had Richard Hart with a stable coin, right? So obviously people were back in the PDI theory, but now of course maybe something new. It's definitely possible on the line there. So there's lots of stuff hanging out there. Valiant says PulseX is my vote. There we go, and I think that's a pretty good vote. Blair in the house there. Hey, Blair. Hi, all. Good to see you, Blair. Hope you're doing well. And Wookie's made it back from the golf. It's golf day? No, golf day was yesterday. Wookie is thinking you should hit the likes and post it out. Absolutely. Definitely smashed it out there. And we got Valiant in the house as well. Hey, Valiant. Woo. Got the hidey highs there going on as well. Great to see everybody in the chat there. Really, really fun. All right. Let's get on to it. Let's move on and get into the news. So we had the big, beautiful bill of Trump. So a handful of Republicans think Trump's a big, beautiful bill. Well, I think is a interesting word there. We'll check it out. In the Key House Committee there, the bill failed to pass the House Budget Committee on Friday. Republicans. Now there may be some valid issues. I'm not saying it's not, but Republicans are great for sabotaging themselves when they get all the power. So they control the House, they control the Senate, they control the presidency. They've got the arguably the dominant part of the Supreme Court, but they just have a habit of doing themselves over. Now, there's also the ties with the Uni Party, right? Between the Democrats and the Republicans, there's still a few of those linkages in there, and also we've got the undermining of democracy that the Democrat Party is trying to do, right, to move to permanent power. Now, we got President Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill failed to pass the House Budget Committee on Friday, and what appears to be a massive blow to House GOP leaders plans to hold a House-wide vote next week, so that's the week coming up. And, of course, Republicans, Reps Chip Roy of Texas, Josh Breshin of Oklahoma, Andrew Clyde of Georgia, and Ralph Norman of South Carolina all voted against the legislation, so there'll probably be quite a bit of pressure on them. Now, I'm just not quite sure what they are against, so we're going to hopefully find that out. A fifth House Republican Rep Lloyd Smucker of Pennsylvania also switched his vote from a yes to a no, though it was a procedural maneuver that allows him to bring the legislation up again. And that's the important point, right? Smucker told reporters he was quite confident of the bill's pretty much in the bill's success. So just a little bit of delay, but this is maybe there's some valid reasons. Hopefully we might see whether there are. House Budget Committee Chairman Jody Arrington of a Republican for Texas has directed the panel to reconvene on Sunday night at 10 p.m. for another vote. So that will be tomorrow my time, which is like a Monday, I guess. or later on tonight, somewhere there. Committee met to mark up and debate the bill, a massive piece of legislation that's a product of 11 different House committees. So it is a pretty big bill, right? It is a big, beautiful bill, and it's got a lot packed in it. The committee met to mark up and debate the bill, a massive piece of legislation, and that's a product of 11 House committees' individual efforts to craft policy under their jurisdiction. So I guess it's under the fire, as it were, being molded into something beautiful. The result is a wide-ranging bill that advances Trump's priorities on the border, immigration, taxes, energy, defense, and raises the debt limit. Now, obviously, they're wanting to deal with the debt limit, and the total debt limit of the US debt's about $37 trillion. It's definitely one of the big goals of Trump, and that's why he needs the big, beautiful tax bill in place to try and get, ultimately get federal revenue up. Now, arguably, it can lower it in the short term, but to get it up actually higher through economic growth. So that's why he's trying to get a lower tax bill to spur entrepreneurship and investment and consumption, and therefore, bolster the U.S. economy and get it well over 3-4%, arguably, and so game on from there, right? And he wants to get the federal deficit to down, I think, 3% of GDP. So that's kind of where he's heading there. Emotions ran high in the hallway outside the House's Budget Committee's meeting room from the outset, however, giving the media little indication of how events would transpire. Rep. Brandon Gill, Republican for Texas, who had been at home with his wife and newborn baby, surprised the reporters when he arrived at the Cannon House office building after he was initially expected to miss the committee meeting. His appearance gave the House GOP leaders some added wiggle room, allowing the committee to lose 2 Republican votes and still pass the bill rather than just 1. But at least 4 House Republicans went into a meeting warning they were opposed to the bill. Shortly before the meeting was expected to begin, Roy, Norman, Clyde, and Bretchen abruptly left the room while saying little to reporters on the way out. Each came back a short while later and criticized the legislation in their opening remarks. A little bit of collusion there going on in that little meeting. We got the fiscal hawks. It's frustrated. So these are people that want, not as much spending, about provisions curbing fiscal hawks. They want to do more spending, I should say. Frustrated about provisions curbing Medicare in the bill not going into effect until 2029 there. So these people want the actual cost to come down. Are frustrated about provisions curbing Medicaid in the bill not going into effect until 2029, and had similar issues with the delay in phasing out green energy subsidies from former President Joe Biden's Inflationary Reduction Act. Only in Washington are we expected to bet on the come. We expected to bet on the come that in 5 years, then everything will work. Then we will solve the problem. We said in the debate, we've got to change that direction of this town. I agree 100% with that. And to my colleagues on the other side of the aisle, yes, that means touching Medicaid. Now, obviously, Medicaid's typically been getting, with the Doge getting out of fraud and other things like that, which generally most reasonable people would accept. Now, obviously, with Medicare and Medicaid, in particular this case with Medicaid, that's about medical, help there, and of course, that they're wanting to probably pull it back a little bit on some areas. So, we haven't got the specifics, so it's hard to say. At one point, Norman came out of the room and called for the committee to recess in order to work through the fiscal hawks' concerns. If they call for a vote now, it's not going to end well, he said, adding he was still waiting on committee commitments from the House GOP leaders around that. So obviously they're trying to really drive out, unnecessary costs from their point of view. Minutes later, House Majority Leader Steve Scalise, Republican there for LA. So LA, I'm not sure I'm not sure what state that is. Let me know in the chat and what that is. Who is not a member of the committee but had been meeting with holdouts, told reporters he wanted the legislation to advance through the budget's panel as soon as possible. When asked about Norman's comments, he said, "I just walked out of the meeting with him a few minutes ago as well. We're working on some questions that Ralph and others have. We're going to getting them answered as soon as we get back from the Trump administration." So as soon as we get them back from the Trump administration there. We said on X after the vote, we were making progress, but the vote was called and the problems were not resolved. So I voted no. I'm staying in Washington this weekend to deliver because obviously got that meeting on Sunday. Medicare, so it's really a bit more of a hiccup at this stage. Medicare work requirements must start now, not 2029. I agree with that, and that's the way to go. So people that may on the edge of abusing the system is probably what they're trying to get at. But they want people to do some work requirements. We kind of had something a little similar to in New Zealand here, relative to general benefits. And that's probably I think that's a reasonable requirement. Otherwise, you could have people just sitting on there that are perfectly able to work, or and that they're just manipulating the system, right? And that the Green New Scam must be fully repealed, as President Trump called for. So there we go. So earlier, Trump took to Truth Social, where he suggested those opposing the bill were grandstanders, and he pressed Republicans to unite behind it. So he's obviously putting his pressure on it. His message appeared to have little effect on the rebels, however, though it's notable Trump is not in Washington, is currently en route back to the diplomatic trip to the Middle East, at the time of the writing at least. House Republicans are working to pass Trump's agenda via the budget reconciliation process, which allows the party controlling the House, White House, and Senate to pass broad pieces of legislation while completely sidelining the minority party. Now, we know that the Democrats love spending, they love corruption, because they all get paid from it, and they get to manipulate the outcomes. So that's what you got. This is kind of the holy grail for us. This is our moment. This is our moment. If we're going to get rid of these little leeches that are destroying the West, we've got to do it, right? So it does so by lowering the Senate's threshold for passage from 60 votes to 51, provided the legislation deals with spending, taxes, or the national debt there. So that is some of the key stuff there. Speaker Mike Johnson has said he wants the legislation to pass the House by Memorial Day, with the goal of syncing up with Senate with the Senate and getting a bill to Trump's desk by the 4th of July. So I've been going on to you guys about the 4th of July. This was the deadline for Trump to get his strategy in, right? So the three-legged stool strategy, that is the big tax bill, deregulation and leverage, and the world, reorganizing the world trade. That was his strategy all along. And of course, the 4th of July was the deadline. So that is pretty exciting. And we may see a big party, either on the 4th or the 7th of July from Trump, basically announcing, I've pretty much laid the foundation of the golden age of America. Now it's basically just building, and winning. That's pretty much it, right? That's still possible for Republicans on the House Budget Committee strike an agreement to advance the legislation on Monday. Afterwards, it would head to the House Rules Committee for any potential changes before House-wide vote sometime later in the week. But Republican senators have already indicated they want to see some changes to the bill, meaning that House will need to hash out their differences with their counterparties in the upper chamber before the legislation is finished. The House Freedom Caucus, which the bill's 4 Budget Committee opponents belong to, has said its members would stay in Washington through the weekend to continue working. So that's really exciting. We are continuing to negotiate. We are not leaving right now, because this is going to get them what they want too, right? This is what they're trying to pressure at the moment. So they've got a lot of pressure points here, trying to get their way too. And I actually probably would agree with what they're trying to do. We have been making progress and are continuing to work on the legislation, Freedom Caucus said. So that was the update there around the big tax bill. That is fundamental. So why do we go through all that? Because it's going to have a massive impact. I'm going to talk about fundamental impact on the U.S. economy, on the big golden era of America. This tax bill is fundamental for that, and that's why we've taken the time to go through it. So hopefully that's been of some has been informative to you. And that's why, if you hadn't read that, maybe you hadn't read it independently or by your own, maybe it's the first time you've heard it. If you hadn't seen that, you would have no idea what's going on. Is there a setback in the golden age of America? Is that going to play out into my crypto run and all this stuff? That's the reason why we cover it, and I think it's very, very important. So that's kind of that on that. So yeah, I think a little bit of a hiccup, but I think it's still going to proceed through on Sunday. So I suspect that on in the weeks ahead, we're going to have positive news from that, and that may even rally the markets, right? So that is pretty exciting for next week. Obviously, this is crucial. This bill, big beautiful bill, as Trump calls it. So that is pretty much that on that one. Now we're going to check out crypto at the moment before the markets open for the week. So obviously it's Sunday here, which means Saturday in USA. And of course, tomorrow is going to be Sunday USA, so we've still got a little while to wait till the markets open for next week. Last week, the markets were great, particularly for a stock market, and crypto's been performing pretty well also. Now, there is talk, that Bitcoin's, some people are saying, it's a little bit exhausted here, and maybe this ushers in more of an altcoin season. We'll see about that, but we've got tons of big news coming up in the weeks ahead, because we've got the third part of Trump's strategy, which is all the trade deals, right? We're going to have tons of big trade deals done. And the market's just going to eat that up. Yum, 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 yum. That's what we say. Yum, 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 yum. All right, so let's jump in. We've got a couple other comments there. Wookie says Star Wars A New Hope is his favorite. And well, that's because you're from that galaxy. That's why. That's his favorite movie. Star Wars, honestly, I was in the movie theaters. What year was it? I don't know. Remember what year? We used to get movies a lot later than in America back in the day, because you didn't have streaming or even what is it, CDs or anything like that. What is it? V-Rays? I've forgotten the name. D-Rays? V-Rays? Whatever. You guys know what I'm saying. I think we used to get the movies like, I don't know, 6 months maybe after they came out, maybe even 2 years of some movies. I don't know, this seemed like a long time. And I remember sitting down as a little kid in the theater this is the first movie I ever saw was Star Wars. The first movie that I remember at a theater that I ever saw was Star Wars. And I sat down as a kid, and how old would I have been? I don't know. Maybe 7. I'm not sure. Somewhere in that ballpark. And I sat down in this movie, watched Star Wars, and I cannot tell you, it blew my mind. It blew my mind. The whole theater shook. It was unbelievable. So yeah, Star Wars is definitely in my top 5 for sure. It was unbelievable movie, and I walked out of that movie thinking that, wow, it was just mind-boggling. Back in the 70s, it was mind-boggling. Yeah, crazy. I've never had a movie experience like the Star Wars one, ever, never. And that partly it's to do with you're a kid, but also Star Wars was 23 years ahead of its time. It was just groundbreaking, just a storyline, all that sort of stuff was just incredible. The animation, it was just so amazing. Yeah, so definitely right up there for sure. My shizzle for sure. What's it for shizzle, my dizzle, whatever. We got Valiant in the house there. We deserve an American first uni party. No more Democrats or Republican globalists, says Valiant. Yeah, well, the globalists is the problem, right? And you're absolutely right. So it is the way to go. People don't realize the Democrats are trying to set up. That's why they were flooding in all the illegals in the Americas. They were setting it up, and they were sending them all to red states, right? Sending them all to red states. And busing them and flying them in. I mean, it was just ridiculous so that they can change the makeup of America. The other thing that many of you may not be aware of is that they were also trying to redo the maps, the election maps as well. They were cunning, man. They were trying to redo election maps so that they could also accelerate the permanent power of the Democrats. Could you imagine it? Cities full of violence, cities, people being abused, and they don't care. You got we have it creeping in New Zealand. We got judges that are in favor of the criminal. They reward the criminal and they persecute the victim. It's insanity. It's absolutely insanity. So yeah, if you want an upside down world, the Democrats and some of these uni party globalists are the ones to vote for. But they'll enslave us all, and so it's this is our time. Trump and the golden era of America, freedom, security, prosperity. That's where we want to go. All right, we got Frank White in the house there. Bang bang, Pulse gang. Good to see you, Frank White. Big shout out. Frank White, if you haven't seen Frank White's website for PulseChain, you should definitely check it out. In fact, I'm going to try and bring it up maybe tomorrow or something. I don't have it on this browser, so yeah, we'll check that out. That's going to be pretty cool. Let us know what it is in the chat there, Frank. Maybe you could just type it in if you can't post links. We got Gugard in the house there. Good morning, King. Hey, now, I say this enough. I was in an X space yesterday, and people were asking me about some good projects and some good good things that people can do for their projects. As you guys know, we've moved here with the Kryptonite Show. We've expanded our coverage into promotions. So we're doing professional promotions for PulseChain. That's really needed. A lot of people have asked us for it, and a lot of people need it. And we've had really good feedback. So that's something we're going to continue to expand. And of course, we've got a team building. We've got MVS out there, promotional lead. We've got probably a bigger team. It's probably almost up to 10 people now that are playing a role in some way and helping promote a lot of teams, which is pretty exciting. And it's a win-win for everybody. And we got Gugod out there. He's just an example for a lot of teams because he's just out there marketing and promoting like a boss. So if you're a team out there and you want to get a good idea of stuff that you can do by yourself, let alone getting people to help do promotions, check out Gugod because he's doing a lot of things that people should be doing. So yeah, big role model there. And of course, we're going to be talking about this new token that came out because Gugod says, yeah, make sure to put Crown on your watch list. Yeah, so he's pulled a new token. This is his final token that he's launched. So Crown, and he's also got King Jr. I think as well. King Jr. out there. So yeah, Gugod absolutely. But the promotion work is amazing. New token innovation. So yeah, pretty exciting. So well done, Gugod. I love to give congrats to people that are doing some great things that we can all learn from. It's pretty cool. Valiant says, I'm sure Trump is making a list of people to primary. Don't pull on Superman's cape. Don't pull on Superman's cape. Yeah. What else there? Let's see here. We got a good question there for Gugod from Valiant. So you can answer that one in the chat there. We got Wookie on the spot, 77. 77, yeah, the same, yeah. So Wookie's pretty much the same age, and he's in New Zealand as well, and he would have seen Star Wars from our perspective down under here, so down under means like Australia, New Zealand, Pacific Islands. It's basically down under when we say that. And it's got Wookiee. Wookiee saw that movie too. It was just mind blowing, honestly. I just cannot say enough about how crazy that was. It's almost a heavenly experience when we saw that movie. It was just in that sense that it's just beyond belief. You just cannot take it all in. It's crazy. I'm here for the TA, says Brennan. Hey, Brennan, good to see you. Yeah, we're coming up to that later on. I'm chatting a lot more than I expected to, but it is a Sunday, right? So we're kind of just having fun here. Appreciate you, legend, says Gugod. A big shout out, man. Send one king token to yourself to trigger the pending awards. That's to you, Valiant. That's a nice answer there. Rewards are sent straight to your wallet. No claiming. There we go. All right. So there we are. All right. So let's get into the results here. We got the weekend. Now, you guys know that Sunday in the US is normally like a quiet day in the markets. Typically, they're more likely to go down than up, I think. And so we're here on Saturday, I guess, in the US. It's still got a bit of activity, but it is down today at the moment, just very slightly. So it's pretty much, let's say, kind of moving sideways today, and it's down a little bit though. So we've got the market cap at 3.38 trillion, down 3.4%. So that's a pretty big down over all the market. 3.4%, but not much in crypto. I mean, we're talking about 10% moves a lot of the time. But we got Bitcoin at the moment is pretty flat at 0.2% negative. We're sitting at $103,000 on Bitcoin now. Ethereum there at number 2 is down 1.5% at $2,462. And XRP at number 4 is down 0.8% to $2.34. Number 5 is BNB. It is down 1% almost at $639. Solana there at number 6 is down 0.7%, $165 at number 6. And Dogecoin there at number 8 is down 2.3% at 21.3 cents. Cardano or ADA there is down 2.1% at just under 74 cents. And finally, to wrap up our top 10 is Tron. It is down 0.7% at 27 cents there. So those are our leaders. Over the last week, the only one in the top 10 that's been positive is Tron at up 3.2%. And we got that's pretty much it. That's it. Everything else was red over the last week, relatively speaking. Now, out of the top 100 coins, the best performers over the last 7 days have been, let me just make sure I've got the right one here, have been a Leo token, Monero, and Tron. They're the best 3 performers, followed by Qcoin and a Bidget token there. So there we go. Those are the ones that I want to talk about now. Below that, we do have some ones that we've seen a lot lately, like Tokenized Exchange, Hyperliquid. So they've been around, popping up in some of the top performances these days. So overall, the top gainers here on CoinGecko, we've got Maple and Genius AI and Moonpig there popping up, all pretty green today, 20 to 50%. And then trending as Launchcoin on Believe. Yeah, Believe, we saw Believe the other day leading, didn't we? So that might be one worth checking out, the old Believe. And I haven't really done enough on that. Maybe I should check that out too. We've got Virtuals Protocol. We've seen that around quite a bit. And the Solana, of course, the big meme chain there is trending also. So getting some engagement there, no doubt. So that's pretty much it overall on the crypto markets. Now we're going to go quickly to Bitcoin. And like I said earlier, with the coverage of the big tax bill, the Trump's 3-legged stool strategy is playing out. This is laying the foundation for the golden age of America. As you can see, it needs to be laid in by the 4th of July, which is this big green arrow, right? And that is going to usher in the golden age of America, and it's going to be ramping up extremely fast, right? So we know that he's just come back from the Saudi. So talking about the trade deal announcements, he's come back from the Saudi deal, so he's got a whole ton of deals there. With Saudi Arabia, UAE, and of course Qatar. Now, as we know, Qatar is a terrorist sponsoring nation, right? But they play a double-handed game kind of thing. But apart from that, the whole thing was spectacular, and he raised probably about $3.5 to $4 trillion in further investment. So that puts him up around about $12 trillion in 120 days or whatever it has been so far. It's pretty crazy. So yeah. February, March, April, May. So almost 4 months. So yeah, pretty crazy. And of course, he just came off the back of the UK free trade deal, something that the UK has been wanting for about 25 years. And so that's been pretty huge. But we're ahead of us in this lead up to the 4th of July. So in this period here, we've got this big green line, right? And this big period here, we've got, India deal potentially coming up, Japan, South Korea, many of the big countries in the world, deals coming up, 115 altogether. And of course, the top 15 will probably be able to lift markets, right? Coming out. So this is going to be coming all in the weeks ahead of us. So you can see we are entering an extremely bullish period. It's going to be quite exciting for all of crypto. So pretty cool. And of course, that's the first part, right? Trade deal announcements. The World Trade Organization is going to be reset. And of course, it's also going to, squeeze China and block China out of the Middle East and other places like that, right? So it's a pretty important stuff. They're going to move these a little bit there so you can see a bit easier. But the other one, of course, is the big tax bill. We went through that just now. Hopefully, that will get settled on Sunday to go to the next phase. And then, of course, we've got deregulation leverage, which will be ongoing, but it's going to be pretty important as well. That's not only Wall Street, but Main Street. And, of course, particularly around small, medium banks are going to benefit. And that's going to benefit middle America and, who's been abused under the Democrats and Uniparty Republicans, right? So that's going to be pretty important. Remember, the US has lost 7 million jobs since 1975 of manufacturing. And that is high wages, most of those jobs, right? High wages. And that's gutted the Midwest, while the Democrat cities ended up enjoying the fruits of America while they were trying to destroy it at the same time. Managed decline. So that's kind of the play there. So yeah, that is where we're at, and of course we're going to get lots of big trade deals moving forward, and the big tax bill. You can see how this is also bullish. It's all going to layer on each other. And of course, by the time we get the 4th of July, that will be the laying of Trump's foundation. And of course, the art of the deal will have played out. And then we enter the golden age of America. And that's going to be, you're going to see lots of stuff where Trump's probably going to be showing new buildings being built, new bridges. I mean, it's going to be crazy. Yeah, they've got a lot of work to do. Yeah, pretty exciting. $12 trillion of investment. Yeah, pretty exciting. And of course, they're going to deal with the three big problems: U.S. debt, which is 37 trillion, the budget deficit, which is 2 trillion, and of course the a trade deficit, which is 1.2 trillion. So they're dealing with all those three big problems. Whereas the others were all just expanding it, right? The Democrats and the Uniparty Republicans, the rhinos as they call them, were all just expanding all those problems, right? And they didn't care because they get paid. They don't care. They don't care about Americans. They just wreck it and they just laugh as they get more power and more backhanders and the rest of it. You guys know how it plays. So yeah, this is pretty much in the chart here. We've got the golden cross playing out still, so we're looking very good for the next move up. And if you look at the previous move, we're pretty much consolidated at that move, and so we're ready to make the next move, right? So next move up into the 130, 150 mark for Bitcoin, and up and away, right? And you can see us, we're going to break out here. It's going to be violent. It's going to be violent. And of course, we're ushering in this altcoin season. It's going to be pretty epic. So looking pretty good, right? That is the crypto markets where we are. Sorry, that's where the Bitcoin is vis-a-vis Trump's, golden age of America. Now we're going to get into PulseChain results. Before we do that, though, let's have a look at a couple of comments. Let's jump up here. Let's scroll. Let's see here. We've got Sean O'Malley in the house there. Everyone needs a little Sparta in their life. That's a big shout to the Sparta community there. Good to see you, Sean. And what else there? We've got Wookie. Says, not sure which one Wook seen first at the theaters, but Star Wars and Greece, where the first he remembers going to was 1977. I was around about 6 or 7. Yeah. Well, we both had pretty much the same experience. Greece was also another one, which was just mind-boggling. I would actually, Greece has got to be, I mean, there's a lot of great classic musicals, some really big stage ones that the Hollywood used to do. But I would say overall, from my point of view, Grease is easily stands out by itself as probably the greatest musical of all time. That being said, I haven't seen every single classic. When I say classic, like pre 1960s musicals, because they did some pretty big ones back then. But yeah, Grease is just magic. John Travolta was just unbelievable in that movie, just unbelievably good. So good. It was, the actors are supposed to pretend they're real, real characters. Well, man, he pulled that off in spades. That was an incredible, that to me was the height of his career. I mean, he did a lot of great movies, but that role in Grease was just unbelievable. Do you guys remember what the gang's name was called out of Greece? Let me know in the chat there. I think I have it in my head, but let me know what the gang name of the I'm not of the guys gang and the girls gang. If you know both of them, put them in the chat. It's a testing you. We're doing a little trivia today, apparently. It wasn't planned. Star Wars was great. Took the day off work to see it. The first day of release, says Valiant. Nice. Wow. That's awesome, Valiant. All right, so so you were we were like 7 years old, so you got to be another generation above us there, Valiant. You got to be another generation above us. I was still a seed, unless you saw it late. Unless you saw it late in the future. I was still a seed. Oh, you said first day of release, yeah. So you must have been. You must be another generation above us. Brendan says I was still a seed in a sack. Says Brendan, yeah. Brendan hadn't come into existence at that stage. What else there? Valiant says, I'm old, lol. Yeah, you're definitely another generation above us, that's for sure. What else there? Crypto Profiter in the house there. Well, actually, Valiant, I don't know, when you were a kid, were you on the back end of rock and roll? You would have been, right? Back end of rock and roll. Was a rock and roll, like maybe late 40s, early 50s through to what? Early 60s, maybe 64, probably rock and roll period. I think apart from the 80s, the 50s must have been the other golden age, right? And if you're thinking about culture and freedom and all that, the 50s with rock and roll, man, that would have been exciting. Just like the 80s was full of just the best stuff, honestly. Pretty amazing stuff. We got Crypto Profeta in the house there. Let's go to the moon and of September, says Crypto Profeta. I agree with you on that. Let's go to the moon. Bring it on. And September. Yeah, it's coming, man. Yeah, it's definitely going to be good. If you hold PTC, you will be on the moon before September. That's from Diamond Hen. Yeah, well, PTC is definitely one of the big players on PulseChain. There's no doubt about that. All right, let's jump over to the markets and have a look at PulseChain now that we're talking about it. So let's get into that. So here we are on day 737 since PulseChain launched, and 737 days. Here we are, guys. It's time is ticking. And of course, 13th of May, 2023 was when PulseChain was launched. Fork of Ethereum on the 10th of May. And man, we've been through the fires. We have defeated the SEC. And here we are today, I think, on the doorsteps of greatness, with the golden age of America being ushered in, with money printing going on. It's going to be pretty cool. I think we get that interest rate cut, coming up. Maybe that's the trigger for altcoin season. It's going to be crazy, guys. It's huge. So I think we have gone through most of the pain, and we're going to have some mad gains. We got PulseChain in the house there, quadruple 039, down to 2.25% at the moment. 39% of the mean sacrifice price is still in this really good range for accumulating. PulseX is at quadruple 0363, down 2.3%, is sitting at 36x. In fact, do I have? I don't even know if I have it, but we're going to play it. We're going to play it now. We got the buy and burn at 1.41 trillion. 7.13% of all PulseX is bought up and burned, and Richard highlights that a lot in his post. We've got the incentive token $1.77, down 3%, and we've got inflation has been cut down dramatically. Signal from Richard's team really that things are about to move. Sometimes the move can happen within a month. Sometimes it can be 3 months later, but the move's definitely getting closer. I think to this God mode candle, which we're going to maybe play the video. I deleted it, but we're going to play it back in. So that's sitting only 2,600 incentive token. Pretty crazy. We know that Rack and Rochelle, the big whale, was buying incentive token. He posted that on X like yesterday, was it? I think it was yesterday even. And of course, he's doing a lot of great stuff in the space. And then we got Hex at the moment is at 8,700 a penny, down 3%, and the EHEX at 2,700 a penny. Combined price EXP and PX at 1.1 cents. Now, just remember, when we do get on the reversal on the mega trend for PulseChain, these prices are going to be a distant future. They're going to be left in the past. So if you're not accumulating, and we're pretty confident that we're about to enter just an incredible time. It's these prices where you'll just go, oh my God, I wish I had got them. It's going to be like that. And so if you haven't, it's that's what you're going to be saying. If you have, then you're going to be laughing yourself silly with sprinkles in that. All right, so was it ice cream sprinkles? I don't know. But that's kind of where we are. We got a couple more comments in the chat there. We got the Valiant says, born in 1954, being a teenager in the 60s and early 70s was an adventure. Yeah, well, you went through from two very distinct ages, right? You went from rock and roll into like disco and stuff, right? So that's two very different musical cultures, like radically different. But yeah. We got us there. All right, so let's get it. You lived rock and roll. You lived rock and roll. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it went through from about 48 through to about 65, 66 or something like that, wasn't it? Yeah, about that. And then it started transitioning. I'm not sure what the key transition was into like the disco sort of era. And there was a lot of other type of music out at that time as well. But and you had a lot of what is it? The jive as well. So you had the African American jive, I guess you call it. But you had a lot of stuff, and then you had breakdancing come in the 70s too, right? In like New York and all that. They had the Rocksteady Crew and all that. Rocksteady Crew, make a move. All right, so let's go back to there. So yeah, I was breakdancing. This is a real side string, but I was breakdancing in 1981, 1982. That's when it got to New Zealand. That's how long it was. It probably took 4 or 5 years to get to New Zealand. That's how bad it was back then. Everything was late. But hey, we did it. We did it. And so I guess that's still OG, right? Still OG. We got PulseChain in the house there. Hey guys, good to see you, PulseChain. All right, so that's kind of where we are at the market. So quickly check the gas prices before we get in the overall stuff here. 1 million beats at the moment, so super cheap on PulseChain. 1 cent for a PulseX swap. And validators, 46,000. Yay, we added another probably 100 validators, so we're up to 46,000. And that was after we shaded, so someone turned off 3,000 of them the other like a week or so ago. So we're slowly climbing back. I think we were up at 48,000, weren't we? Yeah, so we added another 1,000 back there. The bridge, how are you? Oh, we're still not over 100 million yet, but we'll get there. It's not too far away. Next week, guys, let's do it. So we're at 96.9 billion, a million, I should say, 96.9 million. And yeah, not too bad. I mean, what's our die? 22.1. I always keep a look at the die. It's 22.1, so that's pretty good. We got down pretty low, like 20 something on that. So yeah, we're definitely up from there. And of course, Ethan Bitcoin are down a little bit there. And Coast has added another 200,000 over the last 2 days or so, wasn't it? So that was at 9.6, now 9.8. And of course, they added all those cool new features, right, around the euros, accepting euro fiat, new banking system to make it faster. And that's a direct on-ramp to PulseChain. Very exciting. Now, as you guys know, we're waiting for some big news. We're waiting for some big news for Sun Mini Meal with Banksa. That's expected to go live this week coming up. So that's cool. And they've got another 2 other on-ramps expected to launch, I think, before the end of May, as well as another one coming in Q3, I think, Q3. So assuming they're on time, that's the time frame. So yeah, we could have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 direct on ramps at least onto PulseChain, and then we've got some other mechanisms like PulseLN and things like that that do, I think, on chain to on chain swaps as opposed to direct. I guess it's RPCs. I guess it. So yeah, that is kind of weird. All right, so kind of cool. Let's keep a lookout. 100 million, bring it on. I think once we get back over 100 million again, and we've got the big uptrend, man, let's start ticking away 200 million, 300 million. You guys know how it rolls. And of course, we've got the magic carpet ride slowly getting back to its break-even point. So we'll get there pretty quick because we know that Ethereum's going to re-rate real fast. It's going to re-rate real fast. All right, so that's kind of it on that one. Now, I just wanted to quickly talk about Rackham Rochelle. He is doing some pretty amazing things out there. PulseChain release for PulseChain is imminent. That was 15 hours ago. And, he's been having fun out here in the jungle, apparently. I don't know. He must have some sort of little micro nuclear power pack with his little jungle farm there. But yeah, he's been posting out this. He's got a new Rackham news. So a big shout out to Ben out there. If you guys know who Ben is, he held a X space yesterday with a whole ton of teams. He's probably a person you're going to see around a lot more. He's running Rackham News on Telegram. He's in Rackham's team. And man, they're coming up with some good stuff there. You haven't checked it out on Telegram Rackham News, definitely check that out. What else we got going here? But the big news I want to talk about, press release title vote, choice 1, Richard Hart wins legal battle, secures bright future of PulseChain, PulseX, and Hex. Richard Hart's or option 2, Richard Hart's legal victory. I bet the SEC, dawn of the new crypto era. And we've got, as you can see, I chose number 2, but actually I proposed a number 3 because the problem with number 1, which is currently winning at the moment, 55%, is it's got Richard Hart wins legal battle, but it doesn't say against what. There's no context against what did he win the legal battle for. And it's just like pretty vague, right? And of course, then it goes, secure bright future for PulseChain, PulseX, and Hex. And that's good. I like that. Now, choice 2, Richard Hart's legal victory. I bet the SEC. Now we know the context of the legal victory. So that's a better line And then we got the dawn of a new crypto era. But the problem with the new crypto era, it doesn't include PulseChain. So that's the problem with these two. And so I left my little comment and I said, choice 3, Richard Hart's legal victory. I bet the SEC secures bright future for PulseChain and PulseX and Hex. So you got everything in there packed. So that's my option. We'll see how we go. Everyone else has got their own suggestions in here as well. So there we go. All right, so that is for him. But the cool thing is that he is doing a big press release, and so he's really ramping things up. As you guys know, he's not only investing, he's doing social media, he's helping run news flows, he's helped running X Spaces. He is got this new think tank that's coming up. He is reaching out to big other venture capitalists and capitalists to come into PulseChain. He's working all of the range. So this is what Rack and Michelle's doing. Think Tank update, 31st of July, the 2nd of August. Sponsor Rack and Michelle. Contact the Steve Hitson. That's his front man, as we say. Location will be Orlando. Disney will be available. Isn't that cool? All of us dream like kids. We're talking about all these movies, and here we go. Disney is all that makes everyone. I have actually been to not Disneyland, which I would like to go to, but I've been to Disney World in Florida, which I think they're pretty similar. Obviously, the location matters, but because I think the Disneyland is the original, right, in California. We got Lodging, the Swan, and Dolphin. VIP suits available. I'm sure they're pretty nice. And of course, topics: PulseChain, blockchain, and crypto. Security, yes. Police, SWAT, and dedicated available. Recorded, yes. And of course, they got the highest stakes documentary. Looks like they're going to be there from the looks of it. Food and lodging, yes, provided. So all your food and lodging provided, and catering. Invitation tally. What do they got there? They got openings. They got 6 openings, and they've closed down 6. They're only going to have 12, and they've got 6 openings. So there we go on that. So that is coming up from Rack and Michelle. Great idea, the think tank here. So he's just doing so many things on different fronts. Pretty exciting there. And he's been on a lot of places lately too. He's posting little videos of different places that he's at. He's in Vegas. He's gone from the islands to Vegas. He's having a good time. So that's good stuff coming from Rackham. If you haven't followed Rackham, give him a follow. If you want to follow all that stuff, leave your comments and all that sort of stuff. That is Rackham Michelle, not only the largest whale on PulseChain, but also doing incredible leadership. He's doing hugely. He calls himself a general in the PulseChain. I think there's appropriate title there. All right, what else? We got some more comments in here. PulseChain says PDI to $1. Well, it's definitely. We saw that wallet. If you guys didn't see it, we saw a wallet come over with 555 ETH right the other day, and that was buying. It was buying PDI. It was also buying some Top Hat. So that's caused quite the fuss with that big 555 wallet. That was $1.5 million, wasn't it? Almost. So we got Crypto Prophet says Inc. to what's this? 1 million? What is that? What 10 million? 1 million. $1 million, I think. I can't remember. 10 million? I can't remember. It's a lot of zeros. It looks like 10 million. We got Wiki. Now, I saw someone saying $1,000 for a Frank token, and that's definitely in the game. $1,000. That's definitely plausible. But, how long will it hold it for? That's the question, right? Let's go for $100. $100 for Inc. All right, we got Up the Waz. The Warriors won the game in the rugby league, so congratulations to them. For those that follow rugby league. Yes, indeed, PDI to $1. Says Valiant. Already got my bag of soil. Yeah. So that's Sun Mini Meal. That's the big on-ramper. And that's also not just to bring all these on-ramps on PulseChain, but it's also 20% of the revenue, as I understand, it's coming in to buy the token and burn it from the corporate revenue. And they're getting bigger and bigger all the time. Yeah. All right. Was it Up the Ref, Bunker, and Was the ref messing around with the game? Yeah, I hate that when you get the ref. They've changed the rules on rugby in New Zealand. There's 2 different codes, right? 2 different type of games. There's rugby league and rugby union, right? The 2 different what they call codes. And they've changed the rules on both of them. They got real woke. Oh, you got hit on the shoulder. Oh, poor person. Stop. Whistle goes. Let's have a timeout for 5 minutes. You got hurt on the shoulder. And it's like it's a flipping contact game, for goodness sake. It's crazy. It's slowed the game down a lot. But hey, look, there's still some diehard supporters, and we've got a couple of them in the chat there. Wookiees for the Waz and Brennan in Australia there. is for the Knights, the Newcastle Knights, is it? Yeah. All right, so I've exposed them for what they are now. All right, so that is from Rack and Rochelle. Let's get into the volumes at the moment. We got $23.3 million in volume on PulseChain. Not too bad for the weekend based on recent numbers. And we've got 308,000 transactions. But we've got some new tokens in the house. We've got Trump Fist. Trump Fist out. Now, this has got, we get new tokens every single day. And so this is not an endorsement. We're just really talking about what is hot on PulseChain right now. And that's in the title, right? PulseChain Cryptos. So we've got Trump Fist in here. We'll have a quick look at this. It is a brand new one there. It's probably a pump ties is my guess, but you can check yourself. I haven't managed to check that. This is not endorsing this at all. But we get brand new tokens. And people play these, right? People play them. At the moment, 32K liquidity, 309,000 in volume, so 10 to 1. That's pretty outstanding. So there's no doubt about that. Let's have a quick look, see if it's got any descriptions there. Issues. Let's have a look at issues. Has a blacklist apparently, so that's an issue there. This is based on a quick intel from Deck Screener, which is not always accurate, but it's kind of a first line of defense. And of course, you can use like Midgard now. Use the AI to do checks, and you can go to Pulse Police and things like that. There are different things if you're not a dev. Interesting. Trump's Fist, the symbol of relentless power. So that is there at the moment. So that is people enjoying that for a speculative trade. But yeah, a lot of volume going in through there. So, ask questions. Crown King, of course, from Gugard is in the house. Number 2. This was number 1 before the live stream. So look at this. Number 2 here from Gugard. Now, we've got market cap still 77K. So still pretty a lot of upside to that potentially. Liquidity 22K. But look at the volume there. Woohoo! 200K almost. That's fantastic. So what's that? 10 to 1 as well. That is doing pretty well. So, looking good there for the old crown. This is the final token from Gugod and the King crew. And so this is looking pretty good. We've got 423 makers. The chart looks pretty healthy. And let's see where we go there. Every king needs a strong crown. Long live the king. So obviously you got all the socials there. Website, Twitter, Telegram. You can check that out too. So big congrats there to Gugard in the house. I think he's here, still here, maybe. Where we got up to. All right, so that is that one. And we got this other one here. It's been around for 8 days. This is the Pulse Golden Ticket. That's up 20% there as well. Market cap still 120. What's the volume on that? 6K versus 61K liquidity. So it's 10 to 1, but the opposite direction. 1/10, we say. Remember, one of the OG WebChef printer tokens is managing to make a 13% gain today. We've got Your Mum is up 12%. RSI oversold is up 18%. There's another pump tires, I think, from memory. Remember, this has only been around for 22 hours. So you'd have to double check on that one, right? Because not sure what that is, whether it's a pump tires or whether it's actually part of the OG WebChef. What else do we got? Ink printer from Fast Abdul, one of the 4 liquidity fork ecosystems. And that is up 7.7%. UFO from PDDC is up 7%, doing pretty well there. Mafia from Jacob, arguably the world's best peer-to-peer developer, had a few little updates around the Mafia game recently, and including banks are open, and you can transfer in-game cash now. And of course, you can also assign your in-game equipment to yourself as well. You can actually, set up your character with the actual in-game assets that you want to use. Pretty cool. Then we got Sun Mini Mill coming up the track there. We talked about that with all the on-ramps coming. We can't wait for that. Probably next week is when we're going to get the Bankser one, the big one. And that is up 5.6% at the moment. And that's made new all-time highs. I would consider this, for me, I consider this one of the blue chips on PulseChain. We talked about PDC, I think, is another one. You have to decide what you consider that, but that's kind of, I think, the evidence-based. And of course, fits pretty well. So we got it has reached 8 cents today. Can you believe it? So pretty awesome. Yeah, well, just shy of 8 cents on here actually. The open was 8 cents. So yeah, it's reached 8 cents today, and pushing higher. How high is this going to go? The market 397 million, 1 million liquidity, and 77 volume there. So it's only sitting about 8% of volume against liquidity. But man, this thing with the buy and burns coming in, with the news coming up, could be a mega move. This could be moving into the billions there. Could be pretty awesome. And we're going to talk about that in a minute. We've got UpX at the moment up 5%. Top Hat, which has been performing really well with Crypto Coffee. And of course, recently they got on the Emmett Farm, right? Which we're going to be talking about Emmett Farm this week coming up. That is doing pretty well. And so Top Hat there, beautiful I argue Crypto Coffee is the top influence on PulseChain, based on multiple measures. and also the fact he just launched his top hat. And it's just starting really soft, but it's going to be pretty cool. We just got onto Emmett Farm. That partnership's fantastic. Big shout out to Kairos out there doing amazing stuff. And then we've got Sparta coming in the house there. Someone in the chat there was talking about Sparta earlier. And that's from, was it Wendy's for Tendies, isn't it? Project there. So an old Hex OG, up 3.7%. Beast, another one there from OG Web Chef. So our second printer token, up $1.20, is $1.20 there. Making a little bit of a comeback after it's a pretty hard sell down. And let's see if it can make a bit more of a move in the weeks ahead. UpX there is up 3%. Sparta, of course, another pair there. Gas Station, another printer token, up 2% there as well. Access Alive. So we've got, is this the first influencer token? It is. I think it is, yeah. We got the first influencer token here from Access Alive out there. Now, we're talking about technical analysis today. And funnily enough, he is one of the sort of the gurus of TA on PulseChain. Is up 1.7% at the moment. GoPulse, the big information site / swapping utilities, that is up 1.3% there at 10 cents. So it's holding pretty steady at that mark. What else there? We've got DWB there is up 0.25%. So those are kind of where we are at the moment. And then we've got a lot of our favorites are still down the line here. We've got the Solid X's of the world, the Teddy takeovers, the incentive token. They're all down slightly today. X game, things like that. But let's see what this week has to bring for us, because I think it's going to be this pretty awesome week after week moving forward on the old stock market and crypto market. So I think we can all get pretty excited about where we're heading. As I painted out in that picture on the Bitcoin, we've just got bullish news after bullish news expected. And we had a little hiccup this weekend, but like I say, if Sunday we get the Freedom Caucus voting, we could start moving forward to that, which is going to be pretty exciting. What else we got? Some more comments. Soil is good to go, says Valiant. Yeah, 100%. What else there? It's come off his chest. Yeah. I got that off my chest. That's true. That's what she said, says Brennan. I'm not even sure what that's about, but anyway. We got Hexcavator in house there. Hey, gassing. What's it? Hey, gassing. Good to see Hexcavator in the USA. Big shout out. All right, so let's get into what we're going to talk about today, which is our top trading indicators you must use. So top trading indicators you must use. Now, obviously, this is for people that are relatively new to stock market, crypto, whatever you're going to be trading. It applies to all markets. So obviously, if you know all this stuff, it's just watch. But if you are new to this, hopefully this will be a little bit of interesting to you. Now, you can come in, and if you're probably quite new, you can get tricked out by charts quite easily, right? You can buy the tops all the time, and you keep doing it, and you're going, what's going on? I keep buying the tops. So this is a little bit, hopefully give you a little bit of help about that. And let's have a look at the chart here. Now, obviously, with trading, emotions is the number one thing you have to control, right? Your emotions. That's the biggest thing. And it's always going to be the hardest. It's hard for all the pros as well. That's why most people, in professionals like hedge fund managers and people on Wall Street, they often don't even beat the indices, right? What's the indices? It's basically all the stocks or cryptos inside an index of which gets traded, right? So it's kind of the totals of those values get traded essentially, and they don't even beat that market. That's kind of the market number, but most people don't even beat that, right? Even professional traders don't even beat that. So this kind of helps you in that sort of vein, trying to do well over time, right? So especially if you can control your emotions too. Now, the first one we're going to look at, I've got here the Hex chart. So this is Hex on PulseChain, and we've got the daily set. So these are daily candles, right? So you can see the daily candles there, and that's ticking over. That's what the chart looks like back in time, right? So there we go. That is it all the way back here at the beginning of PulseChain, all the way through to today. That's what the Hex chart on PulseChain looks like. Right, so it looks like it's trading in a big sideways range with massive range, right? The top is 3 cents, and the bottom here has been, a third of a penny, right? So we've got this big giant range here in the price, right? And so we've got, if we take the little calculator, it sort of shows us that it's basically 800% or 9x is the top to get back to the top from the bottom. Right, so that's kind of where we are there, and we did do that in about 93 days back here between September and December last year. So that that was pretty huge, right? So that is the Hex chart. Now, obviously, we're way back down here again at just under 9/10 of a penny, right? But once we break out of this big range that we've been in for 700 and what was it, 25 days or whatever it's been now, it's huge, right? So once we break that, it's going to be absolutely pent up, and we're just going to go up to the right. We also know that Richard Hart's thinned out the liquidity pools, all that sort of stuff, and he's been talking about God mode candles, right? God mode candles, which we might play that video later on. But this is the kind of the chart. This is what we're looking at. This is our information, and these are daily candles. But let's bring in the first indicator. So the first indicator we're going to be looking at is RSI, right? So RSI, so the relative strength index. And what that does is it pops it down the bottom here below the price chart, right? Below the price chart here. This is on a daily. Now you can use this for different time frames. So you could use it for weekly if you've got enough weeks, of course, for the data, or you can use it in the shorter time frames like 4 hours. 4-hour time frames are kind of like the day trader, the swing trader view, right? So they use 4 hours. A day is also for swing traders. So a day trader, obviously trading within the day, typically. A swing trader may be trading within days or within weeks. And then, of course, you've got more investors, try to trade longer time frames as well. So whatever, whether a day trader, swing trader, or an investor, you can, use different time frames for that. And, of course, you can use shorter time frames versus longer time frames to see what the longer time frame is going to do, right? If the shorter time frame is looking like it's overbought, then that may say that you're going to have to wait a little bit before you maybe buy some more or something, that sort of thing for the longer time frame. All right, so you can see the RSI moving along here with the price chart, and basically the RSI just basically tells you, how the buys over the sells are going, right? Is there more buys over sells? Is there more sells over buys? And that's basically what it's doing for you, right? And so you can see here that we've got two numbers. We've got a range of 70. There's a horizontal line at the top, a range of 70 here. And we've got a lower line here, the range of 30, right? It's kind of what we are doing there. In fact, let me show. I don't know if I can move to this other screen. But no, I'll probably stay here with the smaller screen. But that's kind of the 30 there. And of course, the 70. If the RSI moves, this is where pricing is overselling. Then we're going to see a rise with the RSI. And once it gets up to 70 or higher, people consider that overbought, right? So that could be a signal that the move is over. So let's say that you came in. Let's say that you came into crypto. You really didn't know. You saw Hex, and someone mentioned Hex, and you saw it. And then you come in here, right? You came in here on the 10th, right? So Hex had been doing really well. You heard about it, right? And you're going, oh man, I got to get some Hex, right? So you come in here. So let's do a little picture of this one. Now I'm just doing really simple so that people can follow along. We're gonna try and get a little circle here. And let's say you come in here and you buy right here, right? You buy right here, and you go, woohoo! I got my Hex, man. I got my Hex, and they're not going to be like that guy that cried about not getting his Hex, which is pretty fun. Not cried, but moaned about. It's a favorite video of mine. And but anyway, so we got that here, and you can see on the RSI, if you come down from the price chart down to the RSI, that actually reached the 70% mark, right? So we already had a run, and then it came back, and then we had another run, and up it went. So the trend was pretty much played out. And the RSI was pretty much at 70. But what did you notice in the RSI here? What do you notice? So the first time we had a run, right? We got up to here. We got up to almost 2 cents, and the RSI was real hot, right? Really overbought, right? And it lasted for quite a bit, right? And it can do that, right? It can last up to maybe 3 to 7 days, 3 to 7 days even. Sometimes it can only be a blip, right? So a blip like this. But of course, if you had sold here, you looked at the RSI and go, oh, this is overbought, and took profits, you'd been safe, right? You'd been safe. Now, obviously, in here, it was still going up, and so you would have missed some big gains, right? You would have missed some big gains here, right? You would have missed some big gains. So if you use the ruler, if you got out, say, halfway through here, you would have, let's say you got it halfway through the big RSI being overbought, you would have missed out on some of these gains in here, right? So yeah, you did, but you'd still been in good profit, right? Which is the main thing, right? You want to be in good profit. You would have still been in good profit. Now that's not always the case. Having a long period of time where it's really elevated up on the RSI, overbought, is not very common, right? So you can see other times when it was overbought, it was a very short-lived thing, right? So you would have done very well listening to the RSI chart, right? That would have been telling, oh, this is overbought. I got to be careful. Maybe I've got a day here at most. Other than that, I've got to sell out, pretty much sell out. So that's kind of the lead in there. Now, what did we see in this chart though, right? So we see the RSI went hot and the market came back down, right? Came back down, and the RSI went from up at 88. Remember, over 70 is overbought, went to 88, was pretty hot for days, and then it came back down all the way down to 39. And what happened to the chart? It sort of pulled back as well, right? So that means there's more sales than buys pretty much, and it was getting sold down, right? And then it had another rally though, right? So you're saying, oh man, if I'd sold out here, I would have missed the gain. And yeah, it came back down, and then it rallied up high. I would have missed out all that, right? Because if I stayed out, that's where I would be. And if I decided to buy back in, I'd be maybe at best buying in here, right? Buying in this zone. So it came back down again all the way to 37. And then we had another price rally, right? And of course, the RSI rallied again, or went up really high, not as high as it was the first time. It's 88, but it went to what? It went to 78, and then it came back down, and then it started plateauing around the 70, 71 mark. The price was slowly creeping up still, but this was a sign. What was the sign here? What was the sign? So if we get the little chart here, we see the sign was that it was on a downtrend. All right, so we had a lower high here, and it was trending down, which means that this move was most likely over, right? Because we've got a lower RSI. And what did happen? Well, the price then sold down, and the RSI sold right off, and it went and hit what? The 30 line. What's the 30 line? Oversold territory, right? And so that's kind of a play there. So that is a great illustration of how RSI can be used. And of course, you can compare that to previous time frames as well. But if we look at this little zone here where it was super hot, we look at that where it was super hot for ages. That's not as common, right? We can see that looking back at the chart on the daily time frames, that is not so common to get that. Now, I'm expecting to see more of that in the future once we get to a big mega uptrend, right? Because really, we've been in this really long channel here, right? So this long channel, we've had this kind of 3 cent mark has been the top of the range, and of course the bottom of the range has been pretty much down here, right? From the opening of PulseChain through to our low here as well. So the low here for Hex being the 8th of September. Now, you guys know once we break through this, we're going to probably get into what we call big parabolics. In other words, the price goes up really fast and comes back down. So some of these sort of moves. But on quite a fast time frame, we're going to see some pretty violent moves, I suspect, at some stage in the near future, probably not too far away. And we're probably going to see more of these overheating type of marks here. But what you've got to keep a lookout for is this divergence here where we're getting the RSI going down with lower highs. That's a good sign to you that this big mega move is going to be over for a period of time, right? And then if we'll pull back. Now, if you want it to pull back, you can, once it gets down to like the 50 mark, you could consider, possibly getting back in. But of course, depending on how ramp it up, how much it ramped up, what are the fundamentals looking ahead, you can decide then what you should do next, right? But hey, look, if you're making money out of using the RSI, and if you're not buying the highs using the RSI, you're winning, right? If you're not, if you're using the RSI to control your emotions, then you're winning, right? So that's kind of the idea there. And of course, coming back to the 50 line, normally a not too bad position to be in, as you can see, especially through here. Obviously, the 50 line was pretty deceiving when we were still going this downtrend, right? So the other thing with the chart is that you don't just use the RSI by itself, but it is very indicative that this is overbought. In other words, we've had so much buying over selling, and eventually it gets just overheated. And that's when we're going to start seeing some downtrend. So that's a very important use of the RSI. Now, there's other uses of the RSI, but that is one of the key ones there. So hopefully that's kind of been, a little helpful there. All right, so kind of cool. Blair says, I just use the 8-ball shake it, says Blair. Well, that's what we're trying not to do. We're trying not to use the 8-ball. That's that. So that is kind of play there on the RSI there. So I think that's pretty cool. Now, you can come up to the RSI itself, and you can see you can hide it with the hide button. So these are some of the features. You can also hit the settings button here with the little cog. It's got a little cog icon, and you can actually change a few things around. Like you've got the length. The standard length is 14. I'd probably just keep it there. If you did search around for analytic people that commentate on this, they may have some variations, some little tricks that they think that are useful, depending on maybe the asset class or the token that you're looking to. But 14s are pretty much the standard. It's also using a smoothing line called a simple moving average. There are other alternatives like the EMA and the WA there, the exponential moving average, etc. And of course the smoothing length on the line as well, a 14. So I mean, you can play. I'll just leave the defaults. The style, of course, you can change the style. You can see we've got a purple font. Maybe you don't like purple fonts. It's more just a visual sort of it. Maybe you like to have a yellow font there. You can see it's really bold. Maybe that's what you like there. You can change that as well. And when you click on this button here, you can also change the opacity. Obviously, you can damp that down. You can see it dulls it down a bit there. Or you can have it full, and you can also change the thickness of the line there as well. Maybe you like to have a bit of eyesight issue, or you just like it to be bold and punchy. You can change that around, and it's got 4 different options there. So there's some cool things to play around with the visuals, which is important when you're looking at stuff. You go, yeah, cool chart, cool chart, stuff like that. Now everything else you probably don't need to change too much, right? The upper limit, the middle limit, and the lower limit. That 70-30 line there, right? So if you get rid of it, it's going to get rid of that bottom line. If you get rid of the top one, it's going to get rid of the top one, middle one, the 50, right? So you don't really need to change that. You can see 70, 50, and 30 there as well. Some people may change that as well, but this is really the default view, probably just worth keeping it there. You can also change this as well. The background, I think you can change the colors on that too. So you could have like yellow on the back, and it's looking groovy yellow. So that is some of the stuff you can do with it. So not bad. They also got a smooth line there as well. You can add in a moving average, right? And you can obviously change all the stuff in that too, with the colors and everything else. So that's kind of the play there. Visibility, of course, it's got all these time frames. Now, daily, of course, we're on the daily time frame, right? If we were on a 4-hourly or different time frame, it would affect that. But if we turn off the daily, it's going to turn the whole thing off, right? If we turn off the hourly, it's going to be fine because we're on the daily time frame. And you can see the time frames there as well. So 1 hour is 59 minutes, 1 minute 59 seconds, etc. So those are some of the things you can play around with on that. And then finally, you can obviously remove it by clicking the X button there. And of course, you can do a few other things by moving the visual orders. Lots of different things you can play around with the object trees. These are all more sort of advanced things. Generally, just the default is fine. I've changed it to yellow, but hey, look, that is kind of the play there. So we've got bearish divergence that can happen with the RSI versus the chart. And this would have helped you a lot, right? If you saw the fact that this was oversold but lower highs, well, it played out exactly right. So you would have been able to sell the top and fight another day with all those mad gains, and then not have to wear down this downtrend here as well. It consolidated for a while and then came down, right? So you would have been pretty laughing yourself all the way to the bank because the RSI was a useful tool. So I think that's a really important one. The RSI is like one of the basics, especially if you're new, because a lot of people buy the tops when they're new, right? Hey, look, a lot of people have been around for ages by the tops as well, but it's really, this helps you a lot, especially the more disciplined you get at using it, the better you will be off, I think, as well. Now, obviously, you got to take this into account with the type of trend. If we're in a big, powerful uptrend versus a sideways trend here, which I would argue Hex has been in, and of course on this particular time frame, and of course a downtrend as well. So you got to take into account those things there. So that's kind of where we are on that first one. Now I'm going to delete. Probably I should delete that. Yeah, I'm going to delete some of these things here. Just let me do that. Then we're going to talk about the next one, right? So the next one here, we're going to get into. I'm going to take out these sideways, these ones here. And the next one I want to get into is we're going to actually get rid of this one too, even though I would keep this on all the time, the RSI, but we're going to remove it just for argument's sake. The next one we're going to have is moving averages, right? So we use something called a moving average, which averages out prices. And we're going to use the moving average exponential here. Now, there are other variations like the EMA cross and things like that. You can check out those. EMA cross is a short-term time frame moving average for days. So if you had days or hours, it's going to be different, right? And so we've got moving average. So we're going to check that out. And I'm just not sure what I put on here, actually. So we've got volumes on here as well. Let me just get rid of those. But we've got the EMA here. And so we've got the EMA. It's got a default. So let's have a see what that is. So default is 9 days, right? So it's averaging 9 days. We've got a smoothing line as well, which overlays, and that is currently on an SMA, and we'll probably just keep that, right? Now, the style, of course, we've got here, we can change that, and I'm going to change that to, now this is a 9-day, but I want this to be 50 days, and I'm going to make that yellow, right? Because that's a shorter time frame. That's what I like. You can do whatever color you like. You can do pinks. Some people like to use the pinks. And I use the pinks, these 2 pinks for short time frames. It's just my preference. And I use the orange and a yellow for longer time frames. But you can do whatever you want. You can switch that around, whatever you like, right? So that's kind of the moving average there. But we want to make a longer moving average, right? So we're going to go to the inputs, and we're going to type 50 in here, right? We want a 50-day moving average. This is a longer term moving average, and you can see there's the chart there. It looks like that. But as you guys know, we want it to stand out a little bit more, so we're going to go to the style, and we're going to hit on the color tab, and we're going to come down, and we can click either this one, or we can click even thicker. But I think I'm going to go for the second one and leave it at that, right? So that is where we are on the average, and that's the 50-day. But so 50 days is pretty interesting. We can tell whether the price chart is over or above it. So the fact that the price chart is over the 50-day, it's actually, it's kind of a signal that things are moving up to some degree. But of course, we need more than just one location to see that it's actually moving up. Like when we had this big run here, we could see that the price was above the 50-day moving average. So it was kind of bullish, right? 50 days is the moving average, and it came back. It kind of tested that area, and then it came back up again, right? That came back up again. So you can obviously use this with other indicators, and you can sort of take a couple indicators and try to work out where we are in the chart. And of course, this one here is performing very well. As we say with the RSI, you kind of saw that we had a pullback, then we had a rally, and then we had the RSI that told us that, yeah, we had a lower RSI, therefore we had some, bearish divergence, and so we should probably exit out of there, which would be a wonderful move to do, right? Now that's kind of where we are at the moment, and so yeah, we're still above the 50 day, but then suddenly we got sold off, and we saw the RSI was negative, remember, and so we had a lower RSI, and then the chart went below the 50-day, and it was just all downhill from there, right? All downhill. Now we had some specific news as well. We had some fundamental news that contributed to the chart, right? And so like Mr. Dong and the PDI maker exploit, things like that. Particularly this part here, right, in the May here, but back down here. So we obviously had some negative news in both here around the SEC and stuff like that. And we've had lots of black swan, gray swan events affect this chart over time, right? But once we break free from that, which I really feel like we are turning at the doorstep of those of breaking out, once we get back over 3 cents, you can see that's a pretty big catalyst. And as one thing gets over 3 cents, this thing's going to start running really hard. So just take that into note. That's kind of my position, my view. But I think you can see once we do break those previous highs, it's going to be game on for the old hex here. And there's only so many people that can hold a million hex, all these other arguments that go with that. Now, this is a 50-day, but we need to add in another average, which is longer, and that is we need to add in a second one. So we're going to go EMA again. And you can pretty much leave these on all the time if you like. You can always hide them, right? So we can hide that yellow one just by putting the little I button. And then, of course, we want to go into the second one. We hit the settings or cog button, as you might call it. And we're going to go to the inputs, and we're going to go 200 days. Right? So the 200-day and 50-day, these are very widely used. And we're going to have the 200-day. We're going to leave everything else default, including the source, right? The source has what part of the price that we're looking at? Well, we're going to look at the closing price, right? What was the close on every single day of these 200 days? That's what we're looking at. You can change it to the open, the high, or the low in the chart as well. All right, so we're going to do 200 days. We're going to move the style, and then we're going to pick on the style here, and I'm going to use orange, right? Orange is for long term, and for me, orange is a little bit less in my face. I know it's bright, but it's less than, not as bright as yellow. Yellow is kind of that short term. That's why I like that popping color. The yellow is kind of a bit more dimmed down, but still pretty bright, and that is over the 200-day moving average. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm also going to pick off the second thickness in the line just for visual as well. It depends, maybe you've got eyesight issues, you can have it even bigger as well. I'm going to leave the opacity the same. So that is kind of the chart there. And I don't know what happened. We got yellow there. Must have forgotten to click on the yellow, on the orange there. All right, so that is the orange, and we can now see we've got even more information, right? So we got the longer view in orange, and of course you can see the orange starts later, right? Because it's 200 days. So the 50 days starts 50 days later, right? After the chart starts, pretty much, and then of course it starts, annually days. But the 200 days, like 200 days later, right? So then that starts up, right? That's kind of the idea. You can kind of see that 50-day, 200-day start. Then it starts to give us information because now we have short-term trend of the price and the long-term trend of the price, right? And we can see that when we get on here, we can see that this crossed here, right? We had this big vertical move in the price. Now you can also obviously use the RSI that we talked about as well. And then we saw this crossover, right? We saw the 50-day cross over the long-term average, which was hyper bullish, right? So what do we got here? We got the yellow line, the short 50-day crossing the longer-term 200-day, and this is what they call a golden cross, right? This cross is golden, and it is pretty cool. I don't know where we got a cross in here, but we got the golden cross right here, right? So that is a golden cross. Let's put it there, and that means that the more likely than not, the price chart was going to keep going up. Now you can use other indicators to help inform this view, but that's what this golden cross is saying, that we're kind of moving into a bullish territory. We also have the pricing action above this line as well, so another bullish little signal. Let's say, and we got this bullish cross, and it played out. It played out to some degree, right? And then we had the big peak out, big God mode candle. Now these God mode candles here, these kind of big moves up here. They're where you should definitely think about selling. If you see these, you should probably think about selling because those are typically going to get sold off, right? And we see that pretty much every time. Once you get to the top of this move, oh, it's going up, man, mad gains. You see this guy, oh, did you see that gold mode candle? You sell it, right? You sell it. You don't sit there and go, oh, that's so beautiful. That's so beautiful. The God mode candle. Everybody, it's the God mode candle. You don't sit around and do that. Don't do that. You sell that sucker, right? You sell that sucker, right? And then it's going to play. And of course, you can use RSI to help inform you. And then, of course, then it comes down, right? So that is kind of the play there. And you can see we came down pretty hard after that God mode candle, pretty hard. We see this time and time again, more likely than not, right? And that's what you're trying to play. What's the more likely outcome rather than, oh, this could keep going to infinity and beyond, right? All right. So this came down, and then of course we see the cross again, right? This time we got another cross. I'm going to copy that too, but we're going to change the color of this, right? Actually, that's what in there. We're going to change the color of this one. Let's see if I can move this with that on it. I've still got the other one there. I'm going to change the color of that one, and let's move this back. You can actually enlarge it, right? You can click on it, enlarge it, and all sorts of stuff, crazy stuff. All right, so we're going to leave that there, and we got this other cross, right? And we're going to change the color of this because this is what's this one? I can't paint it black, but it's a pretty dark day, and we're going to paint it orange. But this is a death cross, right? That is a death cross there, and we can see that this is indicating that we're going to go down, right? So down we go. Now, the good news is that we ended up having another a bullish golden cross because back over here on the 1st of October, we had the 50-day move above the 200-day, and we can already see we're already moving in a powerful vertical move. I mean, this is a powerful move off the bottom, right? But it can happen really quickly, right? That's why we're saying that with the fact that we got even thinner liquidity now in 2025 than we had, it is potentially going to be absolutely insane the amount of price movements you have. So when you hear people talking about, oh, it's going to happen real fast, the 5-10x, this is what they're talking about, right? So this happened in 20 days. We got a 5.5x on Hex here back in September, October, and this is how quickly it happened, right? And then we got a very quick trigger of the golden cross, and game on, right? It's just game on all the way up, and then we got that big, nice, beautiful high at 3.1 cents. And that was pretty cool. Now, remember our RSI? Remember we did the analysis in RSI? That already told us we had a lower RSI in the house. More likely than not, it's going to go down. And it did pretty violently. In fact, we had a few special fundamentals. Now, that's just with the trend, right? We're just talking the trends. But if you get fundamental events like black swan events, gray swan events, they can really hit the chart very violently, especially on thinner liquidity. Then, down we go. And, of course, then we keep triggering down. And of course, the price got sold off. We had a little bit of try to have a fight in here, right, to hold on. But then, no, we got another death cross here, right? So we got another death cross, and there we go. And of course, down we went. And then we had a couple of bad fundamental pieces of news around SEC, around the Mr. Dong and the PDI maker exploit and things like that. And market makers, disconnecting wallets like Rabby wallet and things, all sorts of little things, just death by 1,000 cuts. And then we've had back over. But now what we see, the price has got back over the 50 days, so it's a bullish sign. And of course, we're starting to trend back up towards the orange line. And so hopefully we're going to close out the death cross very soon. And we're probably going to see another one of these kind of very rapid re-rates in the price, right? That's probably what we're going to get back here. We had that big re-rate, and we got a golden cross very quickly. This is probably what we're going to see here with another break to the upside. It could be pretty violent. And of course, the day that we break from this 3.1 cents, man, game on, right? And so if we do that, that's a signal for a move to the upside, and that could potentially trigger a super trend where we get parabolic after parabolic, and that brings you back to memories like back in Hex, back in 2001. Yeah, it's going to be pretty crazy. So definitely you got to keep it lookout at the long trend. Now we're doing this over a day, right? But you can also do it over 4 hours. You can do it over the weekly, even or monthly. You can do longer time frames depending on how much data you got in the chart. And of course, that will give you the bigger picture, right? You can kind of see it a different way. And yeah, it's definitely worth sitting down for a while and just going through this and getting a bit of a feel for what the chart is doing, and that should help guide you, with the better possibilities there. So that is our pretty much our second indicators using a combination of the 50 and the 200-day moving average. And of course, you can use this with the RSI like we did earlier. You can put the RSI on, and you can add that to the chart, right? So that is going to be very helpful. You can see here we've got a golden cross. It's good times. We're probably going to have a good trend here. It was actually interesting enough near the end of the RSI, but it did signal the fact that we're probably going to have a second wave and a bit of an uptrend. And of course, we came back down. We got all the way down to 39, and then we came back up. Once we had that, we had the uptrend on. We went to the second one, and then we got up to the lower high on the RSI with the bearish divergence, and of course we eventually came down. And when we came down after this move here from the 70, this was probably your trigger here, right? That was your trigger to say, hey, look, this thing's going down. Now we're playing more likely than not happening with these charts, and that kind of gives you the lead of where it's going here. So at the moment we're actually kind of looking pretty good. We're pretty high on the RSI though at 60, and so we're just chilling here for a little bit here, but I think we're getting closer and closer to making some big violent move to the upside. We certainly know we've got good fundamentals ahead. So yeah, it looks pretty game on from here. We do have on the local time frames, we do have higher highs in here and higher lows, and higher highs. And now we're above the 50 as well. The next move's to go above the 200. And of course, that will drag up the 50. And of course, we'll get a golden cross, and that will signal potential uptrend. And maybe, and I think this is the most likely outcome, is that we break the sideways channels we've been in since the beginning of PulseChain, and we break that 3.1 cents, and it's game on, right? So this is the US dollar price of HEX. Obviously, there's also the ratio to Pulse, which that some of these tools don't work on. The moving averages do, but the RSI doesn't. Yeah, you can have that in there as well. Sorry, I meant the not the RSI, the math calculator doesn't. You can put an RSI to this as well, and it works on this too. But if you're going to use the calculator, which is this little ruler button here, that doesn't typically show a lot of stuff, depending on what chart you're looking. So just take that into account. All right, let's jump away from here. So that's the second one. Now the third one we were going to do is the Fibonacci. So we're going to go back to daily. So I'm on the hourly time frame there. We're going on back on the daily here. Going back to US dollar price. So that's pretty interesting. So yeah, when we've got anything it's because Pulse is the main fee coin on PulseChain. So whenever we've got any other token that's built on top of PulseChain, it's really relative to Pulse, particularly if it has a Pulse peer, right? But if it doesn't have Pulse peer, it's still linked to all the other ones through their peers. And so the Pulse peer is very, very important. And so looking at the ratio as well, if you're looking to try and beat PulseChain, you need a token that's potentially going to beat that. So you can always look at the ratio. You can see here with HEX, that 1 HEX equals 225 Pulse, and it's pretty low at the moment. So Pulse has, pretty much been outperforming for this period of time in here. HEX was performing better in this range here. So that's another thing you can think of, but that's another topic. But that's a very important topic when you're dealing with the chain. Now we're going to look at the HEX here. Let me just quickly check the time frame up to an hour and 28 minutes. So we're doing pretty big show. Let's go into the final one that I want to talk about, which is the Fibonacci. So let's get rid of some of these others, which you obviously can add them all on together. But we're just for the purpose of this video, we're going to get rid of all these. And yeah, I've taken the volume off as well, by the way. So just to let you know. And so let's put in the Fibonacci. Now there are a couple of type of Fibonacci's. What's going on here? Yeah, I'm not sure. What the heck's is my Fibonacci going? Let me make sure I'm on the right chart here. Let me just refresh this. All right, let's see. And for some reason, the Fibonacci is not showing up. Oh, yeah, sorry, my bad. So this is not an indicator. Getting stuck on the indicators. This is not an indicator, but this is a tool that we're going to use. It's used as another indicator. So let's go over to here. So instead of going up to the indicator button up here with that sort of function sign, we are going over to this tab here. So we've got this first tab has got I've got the first tabs up here, but first tab is the mouse button. The second tab is the lines that we have, so we can do lines. It's a whole nother form of like using tools and indicators. The third line is the Fibonacci, and so we've got all these different tools, and these are really cool tools. We've got Fibonacci, and another one that you might want to use is a Fibonacci trend extension as well. But we're going to do the Fib one here. And what you can do on this, remember this chart that we had with the Fib with the RSI, we had this one here. So we can start at the bottom and we can scroll all the way to the top there. And what this will do, this doesn't always work, but what it will try and do is use a Fibonacci. So Fibonacci basically is the sum of previous numbers. So if you had 1, 2, 3, 4, it's going to go, if you had 2 and 3, then the next number is going to be 5 on the Fibonacci. It's kind of how it works. So if you had 3 and 5, the next number is going to be 8, and it's kind of a mathematical rule that you got up. So yeah, Brennan says, yeah, it's a tool. Yeah, I had a brain freeze for a moment there. You got it. Yeah. Save the day. All right. So that is kind of where we are at the moment on there. And so typically what we might see is a chart typically come back to the 61.8 Fibonacci after it's had a big rally. And you see you start it from the bottom and you go to the top there. And this sort of gets into, I guess, golden ratio numbers and things like that. But we're at 61.8. And it's typically what you might see a pullback happen. And so we did start to kind of see in this chart that it tried to defend this line around this line. And what people do, if you're doing stop losses and things like that, then people will put that in. And that's another topic, of course. But people can put in, if they don't want if they think the price is going to be in a downtrend, if they're making a short-term play, they might put a stop loss if there's a product available for that. And of course, put a line here to say, if it goes below that, I'm going to sell my position automatically with a stop loss, right? So I think we have a couple of 1 or 2 products on PulseChain like that. But that's kind of where we're doing that. So, but in this case, you might say, well, we've done this big rally. It's gone up mad gains, and how far is it going to come down? Well, Fibonacci might indicate maybe it's going to get to 61.8. Maybe that's most of the time it's 61. And of course, we looked at the RSI, right? Then maybe a 61 might be hit. In this case, it went virtually all the way back down. So in this case, it didn't really play out. It almost just completely wiped out. But a lot of times you might see in the chart that it does play out. And so we'll have a look at a couple more examples and see that. So we can pick up the Fibonacci here, pull it up, and see whether it would have moved on this one. So this one here was also completely wiped out. So in these cases, it doesn't always play out, right? It doesn't always play out. Now, if we had a shorter time frame, let's go to 4 hourly, shorter time frame here, and have a look at this one. So we got the Fibonacci. We'll bring that in, and let's put that in again. We're going to start it from the bottom and then pull it up here. And in this case, it came almost down to the 78.6, right? So it kind of worked on this time frame. And a lot of times frames, it does tend to work. But typically what we see is a 61.8 gets hit, right? So this price rallied all the way from 4/10 of a penny for Hex all the way up to 76/100th of a penny, so 3/4 of a cent, pretty much. And then, of course, you go, well, what's it going to be on a pullback, right? It's had a big rally. What's a pullback for this move? Well, you might say, recently it's going to be coming down to the 61.8. And so that would be 54/100th of a penny, right? So just over half a cent. And so, you could put your little stop loss below that. Or a lot of people do 61 to 50. So if you had a stop loss in here, and then you would have saved yourself from the worst move down, right? It would have protected to some degree. So that could have been the play. Maybe you made an entry at the 50 and you could have had the stop loss at 61. There's ways of using that. So that's kind of where we are on that. And in this case, we had a lot of wipeout. Now, we've had lots of black swan events and grey swan events on PulseChain, of course. And we're pretty optimistic that even though we might have 1 or 2 more of those in the future, that actually we've got more white swan events, more good stuff happening on PulseChain moving forward from where we are. And therefore, we're pretty bullish about where we're going to be going. But that's kind of, and we'll probably get a bit more normal trading patterns. So that's kind of where we had this, and this did it was a better play out, wasn't it? 78 to 61 on this chart, and then we had a rally to the high side there. Now, obviously, you can go even to the higher side and say, where are we going from here? If you want to do that, or you can move the cursor there and just say, what's this move going to be? We're doing pretty well at the moment. We seem to be holding above the 38.2 in the short term. And if we do see a sort of a bit of a channel, maybe the 38 is a good support. So we've got good support at 0.8 of a penny at the moment, and the price is just under 88/100 of a penny. So that could be pretty cool. Maybe the worst case scenario, if it pulls back, we've got a high. If we start printing higher highs, so if we start moving from a side trend, or we can't move from a downtrend to a side trend to an uptrend, we've got to really think about the Fibonacci in those contexts. And maybe we're starting a new uptrend, right? Because we've got a higher low, we've got higher highs happening here, and so maybe we are going to get a third move, a fourth move, and then you can start using some indicators for those type of things. And so yeah, this one here, we've got good support potentially at 61.8 would be 68/100 of a penny, right, for X. So that could be a good support line. And then of course you could draw a little line in there at the 61.8 and say, well, we should reasonably, if we do come down, kind of worst case scenario, it should be this one here. And if you're wrong, you could have a stop loss there, right? You could have stop loss just below it. And so forth. Now you got to remember that if you're using a Fibonacci and there's other traders using Fibonacci and they're like market makers or trying to manipulate market and they're big enough to do so, they could try. And if there was a market where there was a lot of stop losses, they could try and trigger that at the 68/100 of a penny, right? So typically a lot of people like to put it below that level so they don't get stopped out. And so if you do get a reversal, you get to benefit from that reversal because your stop loss doesn't get hit, and you just ride the chart either sideways or back up, right? It's kind of some of the strategies that people use. So that's a little bit of an introduction to the Fibonacci. Obviously, there's also we're talking about any trend reversal here in terms of a Fibonacci reversal, but there's also another tool called a Fibonacci extension, and we'll probably talk about that in another video. But that's kind of an introduction to this chart there, and there's a lot more around this, so we might deep dive into the Fibonacci a bit more as well in another video. But we are up to about an hour and 36 minutes, so it's probably a good time to finish. So those are pretty cool tools. So we talked about two indicators and the Fibonacci tool. And of course, you can just type in RSI for the relative strength index, which is kind of your go-to. I think that's the minimum thing you should have on there. And of course, then we've got the two moving averages, right? So we just typed EMA there twice, and then we just added those in. We add two of those in, and then we can go to them, hit the little cogs button, and we can set them up for the ranges, right? 50-day, and change the colors, of course, as well, and do that also for the 200-day. We can change the amount of days that we want it to average out. Go to the style there and click that as well. So that is the cool move. That's the long-term view. Now, we didn't cover the short-term view, so what I might do in the next video is cover a bit more about the Fibonacci, do the Fibonacci extension, and cover short-term moving averages as well. And I think that would be pretty cool. And we're probably going to cover the MACD as well, the MACD also. So that will probably be something we'll do on another video coming up. But these are some of the basic TA tools that you can do. Now, if that's really interested you, there's plenty of people on YouTube and a lot of experts covering it. I would always try to find, really good technical sites to, get the deep dive. There's a lot of mathematics behind some of these things as well. But, you can keep it in the layman's view, and it's perfectly fine to help you understand how to use these tools. Pretty cool. All right. Golden cross on the 4-hourly. Woohoo, says Brennan there. So that is that one there. So, I mean, it's looking pretty good. So 4-hourly there. We do have a golden cross. So what did we get our picture? We had a picture here before. What do we have? Not that one. Where's our pictures gone? Over here. And we have a golden cross here, which is not yellow. We're going to have a yellow one, right? So that is our golden cross on the 4-hourly. So you can see we're pretty bullish on the old hex here. The other thing, of course, is that you use short terms to help you decide how the long term's going. The 4-hour, how the day's going, the day, how the week's going, the week, how the month's going, kind of thing. So it's always good to compare the shorter time frames to see what's this longer term trend looking like in the short term, and will it stay up, for example. And at the moment, we've got this beautiful golden cross going on, and hex has got moving up with higher lows. And no, we've still got a lower low here, a lower high on the 4-hourly, but man, could it mean something further? We've got plenty of room in the RSI as well, so you could get a nice little bullish cross there. So that's a little bit of a teaser. Just wanted to be an introduction. So that is it, because you can talk about them for quite a long time. But that is kind of a cool thing to have. So minimum, RSI, moving averages as well. Good to have those. Those are bread and butter, as you can see. That can kind of help you with the uptrend. Using them together is very important. And then finally, you can go to the toolbar here and use Fibonacci retracements. Pick those up, and all you have to do is hit the bottom and go to the top, and that will give you the Fibonacci there. Kind of cool. Or all the other way around, I would say. So yeah, you can do that too. And that will also give you the upside, but we're going to talk about that next time, right? So where the targets will be on the positive. So you can see that's a little different. So if you do from the top to the bottom, that's what you're going to get, right? So that's probably a better use of it too. That will give you price predictions for the higher levels as well. So we've got the 1.68, 2.68, 3.68. These are natural targets from the Fibonacci's point of view that the price might go to next. So the next target really is 1 penny, and then 1.36 pennies at the 1.68. So pretty awesome there. All right. What out there? Fibonacci retracement is the most common, says Brennan. Absolutely. All right. I think we're going to end there. It was quite the coverage. We're up to an hour and 40 minutes. I cannot believe it. I was only going to be on stream for about an hour and a quarter. So there we go. Hope you guys enjoyed it, everybody. And that is our kind of an introduction to the top trading indicators you must use. And like I say, the RSI is kind of golden. The moving average is very helpful for the uptrends. They're both all trend indicators. And then you can use them together as well for trend reversals and things like that. And obviously having the Fibonacci gives you some idea of where the prices actually might go to as well. So it's a bit more explicit. Yeah, we're going to cover several other indicators and tools for the next one as well. Next time we do another TA chart, maybe in a couple of days' time. All right, hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'm going to leave you out with a very bullish video on the way out, since we're doing such a long live stream this weekend. Big shout out to everybody that's following. If you are new to the channel, definitely share the channel around. It really does help a lot. I think I posted the show on X, so if you can share that, that'd be really good. And until next time, I'll catch you guys later. But let's play out this really bullish news today on this video here, because I love this video. Let's go.
Not a mystery. It is a repeat of the debt cycle. They are rolling the debts. They are doing the same thing. Each cycle is not to do with a halving cycle, nothing to do with any of that. It's all driven by liquidity cycle and funding of debts. Each phase, we get phase 1 of the banana zone, banana number 1. The corrective zone, banana number 2 comes. Another correction, banana number 3. So this is the banana zone. So that's what happened in 2020, 2021. Off we go. Sorry, that was 2017, which again looks very similar to this one. That was the last one. Here we are now. It can't be clearer to me. I've shown you the macro evidence, the technical evidence, the sentiment evidence. Everything here suggests to me that hold on to your hats. Don't fuck this up. Don't lose control of your tokens. Don't use leverage. Don't get your wallet hacked. Just sit with it. Be careful. Don't get FOMO. Do all of the right things, and we'll go up to the next phase of correction zone. That's going to be harder, because the next one that happens, we'll have a 35% drop, and you'll all say, is it over? And you'll definitely be sure it's over, and everybody on Twitter will tell you it's over, and it won't be over. By our work, we suggest that because of the elongation of the business cycle, because rates were higher for longer, the forward-looking liquidity suggests that, again, probabilistically speaking, without any guarantees, this whole thing goes into Q1, maybe Q2 of 2026, which would align with Trump's, trying to win the midterms as well. So everything's lined up for us. I think it started. So keep the faith, keep building stuff, and let's keep driving Siri forward with all of this. Thank you.